Hey guys, this is Tom Hanks. Welcome to another stream. Today we have the second race in the 1972 season of the Classic Rally competition. And I will be switching over to BeamNG in just a second. As you know, it always takes a few seconds to actually load into the stream. I can't really do much about that. But anyway, this time it's gonna be in Italy. It's gonna be on the ASPHALT hill climb 1. There we go. And I'm gonna start as always in my own car to warm up and get a feel of for the track again. How's everyone doing? Hey Charvaldorp, how are you doing? Logoris, good to see you. Yeah, this car is pretty loud. You can already hear it rumbling and idle. So yeah. Okay, so there is the start line. I am gonna give it a few more seconds. Wonder how the Killer Bee is gonna do today. Yeah, me too. It really surprised everyone last time, didn't it? Also give me a second. You can tell by this little overlay here what I've been doing the last time I was in Beam. Yeah, now I gotta reset because the input was delayed now after I unpaused. Man, I'm really not used to this track anymore. I have driven on here before, just not recently. Hey Lowlife Max Camber, how's it going? Oh man, that corner is tighter than I was prepared for. Don't worry though, the warm-up phase isn't gonna take as long on Pikes Peak, which is the next and last race taking place tomorrow. Because I'm very used to Pikes Peak at the moment. in this car really, I should really adjust the brake balance in this one, because it's getting a little bit unsettled on braking. So brake now. Since like the checkpoints look different now, or like did they actually change that in a recent update, or because there was an update at some point this week, but did they like change the visuals of the checkpoints, or is that maybe like a sort of corruption or bug on my end right now? Did they make them wider? Oh man. No, just the appearance of those checkpoints. Oh, that's a spin. Let's try not to do that when we drive the other cars, but we're basically at the finish line, I think. At this point, I think we're pretty close. Actually, there's like 1 or 2 more hairpins, I think, after this one, and then we're there. Yep, it's a pretty short stage. I'm gonna drive one more car that's outside the Hang on. Didn't I click change configuration? Did I click main menu? What happened there? I'm not quite sure. Okay, so apparently I just clicked on retry. I'm gonna try one more car here though. Do I have anything else that's not actually competing? Yeah, I do have the De Tomaso, but I would wanna save that for the end. I mean, I could drive one of the vanilla cars here, but I don't think they're very... We're just gonna drive this again. To get a better feel for the stage. This one's tighter than the previous corners. Try and use torque out of here. Shouldn't have used the handbrake there, I think. Anyway, guys, I see some people are already here. Maybe some more are gonna join. Who do you think is gonna win this stage? Which car would do well here? The front-wheel drive cars. Well, if it's gonna be one of the front-wheel drive cars, then I think you gotta consider the Alpine Scorpion. Personally, I think the Lucara is gonna do much better here than it did last time. .308. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of cars here would do under 3 minutes. I'm very certain that quite a few of them will. It's a me, sedan 57 Chevy. I don't know. That was a terrible way to rhyme that. But welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Had to download the Twitch app. No worries. We're gonna start with the first car that's actually competing here. So yeah, the armor. I think the armor is going to shine at Pikes Peak because it's very steady, very controllable, has a good amount of torque, and you really need to be able to put that power down on Pikes Peak. And this is one of the best cars at that, from what it seemed on Small Island. So I would think that this is probably gonna do well here, but I think it's gonna do even better at Pikes Peak. Okay, let's start. Obviously not gonna lock the rear diff because I don't wanna invite that kind of despair. I was too fast into that. Here on this track, it almost feels like this car could use slightly softer front suspension. It's still good. And obviously you can't make a car that's gonna be amazing on every track. Like I deliberately chose a group of tracks that are pretty different to each other, so that you need to find a car that balances that's balanced and can do reasonably well at all of them. But obviously some cars are gonna be better on one track than on another. That was I almost felt like I was too late on that too late on that braking point. I feel like this is gonna annihilate my own car, isn't it? Yep, first competition car already 5 seconds quicker than my car. Good time. But as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if some cars would do this in under 3 minutes. We'll see though. It's a good benchmark. The ASPHALT is one of the cars that I think are gonna do better here than they did on Small Island, but that are probably also gonna be a bit problematic on Pikes Peak. Ah yeah, okay, so I thought that with this sort of rear track width and such wide rear tires, well, it's 245s, of course, but I thought that it would be able to put down its power better on the tarmac, but looks like it can't. So I think this is out of contention for the top spots, because yes, it's powerful, but it can't put the power to the ground. Was that an old like Michelin or Pirelli or something ad that went like, power is nothing without control? That's what this car reminds me of. Is that ad? Yeah, I don't think this is gonna stand a chance against the armor. Because out of the corner the armor can just put down so much more of its power, and you can go on the throttle so much earlier. .315. To be honest, I was expecting this to be quicker here. But it is what it is. Next up, the BAC Tempest. This one did pretty well too on Small Island, didn't it? Just behind the armor. Well, I think there's gonna be quite a few cars in between this time though, so... Because this time the gap between the armor and the ACLK is rather large, so... I think there's gonna be quite a few cars coming in between. Feels good so far, the BAC. There you can notice that it's mid-engine, but the engine is torquey. Can really bring the car around on the brakes, but you gotta be careful with that too, because it can easily get it wrong. taking these corners in second gear because I know the car has got torque. .311. That's a surprise. I thought it would be closer to the armor. Well, the BAC was just behind last race. Usually, yeah. I went with medium tires for gravel, so that it might be a bit dangerous on the pavement. It did alright though, as far as traction goes. Next up, the CDR Cooper. That car was the BAC Tempest. Yep. POSC 222. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? Down for CeeLo VR? Americoni? I don't know what you mean with that. I'm sorry. This car is very wobbly. Thank you for the follow down for CeeLo VR. Or Downforce Lover, I suppose. How's the lockdown going? Well, for me personally, I've had this work from home job for a year and a half, so nothing much has changed really for me. And I'm actually happy I have this job, I'm gonna be honest with you, because ever since the lockdown started here in Austria, the amount of unemployed people in the country has has increased by nearly 50%. In fact, if we go by the numbers of like end of 2019, which was pretty much one of the lowest numbers of unemployed people in Austria in many years. Yeah, it did increase, I think, by over 50% from then. This is the CDR Cooper. I don't remember who made this either. I don't have my spreadsheet up right now. But anyway, this is unfortunately last place. It just doesn't really have much power, and it's a bit wobbly. So next up, the Falcon Ghost V6. This is a car that I think might do a little bit better here than last time. Oh, you're from India. Oh, okay. Good to see you here. We've jumped up to 13% nationally in Canada. Yeah, I mean, how much is it in Austria overall right now? It's like, I don't know. How much is 600,000 out of 8.5 million? Someone do the math here. That's roughly how many unemployed people out of total population we have. It's still way less than 10% though. So it's not awful, but we were under 400,000 unemployed people end of last year, so the VTEC is back here. And when it hits, this thing has big trouble getting that power to the ground. About 7%, yeah. So overall not bad. Definitely not bad, and better than other countries in the EU, or some other countries in the EU, not all of them though, but yeah, this car is not gonna compete with the armor on this stage either, because it has no torque, and then when the power does kick in, it's got like endless wheel spin. And on here, on the pavement, out of these hairpins, you lose so much time from just the wheel spin. You gotta be able to put that power to the ground, otherwise you're not going anywhere. On gravel it's different, because there everyone's struggling for traction. But here... traction is key. And that's also why the ACLK was worse than expected here. 323.7. So many revs, yeah, indeed. Just barely ahead of the CDR Cooper. Very disappointing result for the Falcon. Next up, though, the Fjord Corona V6. This could do pretty well. A Suzuki Swift would do brilliantly on that course. Yes, if it's got a modified engine. Because a stock Suzuki Swift has like how much power? 70 horsepower. Well, depends on which version you get. I think the Swift Sport is like 130, and that's the most powerful one. But, you know, if you soup that up to, say, 200 horsepower, it would do well here. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, Sedan 57 Chevy, if you're still watching, your car is up next. And this, I do believe, is front-wheel drive. If the camera shakes like that and the G meter looks like this, then yeah, it's front-wheel drive. Man, this thing's agile. When you're staying on part throttle, this thing corners like an absolute champ, though. I did need to slow down there, and there you saw the understeer off throttle. So far this run's looking promising, I think. Yes, automation is limited to 12,000 RPM, sadly. So you wouldn't be able to make like an F1 engine anyway, or at least not one of those like V10, V8 sort of era naturally aspirated is what I'm getting at. Formula 1 engines. How high do the current Formula 1 engines, the V6 turbos, rev? It's not much more than 12,000, is it? 305.4, very good result, but behind the armor nonetheless. Can you make a radial engine in automation? No, you can't. Okay, so 305 though, very good. Very good indeed. I'm really curious about this one though. To be honest, I felt like the Fjord Corona was actually gonna. It felt quicker through the corners, is what I'm gonna say, than the armor. But overall, it was still a little bit slower. Still good though. You've done the 22k RPM engine in automation. And then what happens when you export that into BeamNG? Does it just kind of... can you even export that into BeamNG? Does it even work? Or does the engine just explode? Or did it work? Yeah, boom. That's what I was thinking. Sorry, I had to adjust the camera there. This thing is so unstable in these corners because it's got such a short wheelbase. So yeah, it can corner like an animal, but also that can happen if you're off throttle. So it's really hard to control because the power to weight ratio of this car is just absolutely insane. So you gather speed so damn quickly, and there was like, okay, it's gripping, oh, I'm too fast, I'm letting off the throttle, and then it understeered almost straight into that rock. .301.9 though, so this is the first car to beat the armor on this track. Phew, that was a wild ride though, and to be honest with you, with how crazy the power to weight ratio of this car is, and with how overpowered front wheel drive with a diff seems to be in this game, I was expecting the gap to be larger than 2 seconds. But maybe I'm just underestimating how good the armor is, or understating rather. Next up, the LLMC Pizzeria Scuderia. Diff open? Okay. Oh, what car do I have in real life? At the moment, I don't have one because well, I've got a work from home job, and I don't really need a car at the moment. Do a Jeremy Clarkson like commentary. That's difficult to do on the spot, because he is he's one of the, well, if not the motoring journalist sort of icon, isn't he? And it's sort of like getting on the racetrack as like a hobby driver, and then somebody saying, "Yo, do a Michael Schumacher for one lap." It's just like, oh shit. But anyway, this car has actually very grippy front, a very grippy front end. You can really feel it, that it's so eager to turn in. Yeah, actually too much there, more than I was expecting even from this. Because it's just so light, and I don't know how well this comes across on the stream, but the front just wants to turn so quickly. There is a little bit of hesitance in the steering when you do apply some throttle, but when you get the balance right, this handles very well. I think this is the first car we've seen here that went into 5th gear on that straight. Probably also has to do with the rather short gearing on this car, but still. Short gearing in rallying is not a bad thing. In fact, it's what they do. Very smoothly through that hairpin, coming out in 2nd gear, nearly topping out 3rd there. up the hill once more. Brake just in time. This is actually looking like a good time. It's ASPHALT HILLCLIMB 1 on Italy. And this is actually looking like a really good time. Because we're past the last checkpoint. Free 000.6. Faster than a Helpin. Very nice. Wow. Oh, it's in semi-slicks. That's why. That's why this did so well here. But still, deserved win. Or shall we say, temporary lead, because there's still like eight more cars to come. And this in particular, and that and the Killer Bee, I think these two are still gonna be very, very competitive. Grazie ragazzi. Could maybe take a win win in front of the home crowd. Yeah, I mean it could. Are you Italian actually? Low Life Max Camber. I'm making a BeamNG replica of Top Gear and Grand Tour. If that interests you. I don't know. I don't know how you're doing that. Like, are you doing that with like replicas of real cars that you built in automation, and then you do sort of like live commentary in BeamNG, and maybe you also drive on roads that are somewhat similar to what Top Gear and Grand Tour were driving on. The sounds of this engine, dude. This has like on-power understeer, which is very uncharacteristic, but this is rear engine rear drive after all, so on-power understeer basically means that the rear tires are grippy enough that you don't have on-power oversteer. Yeah, on the turning it's a little bit nervous though. I think this is gonna make up a lot of time out of those hairpins though, because not only does it have good traction coming out of a corner, but good torque too, and this is the most powerful engine in the field with 265 horsepower. went up to third gear there briefly. Very easy to drive this thing clean around these hairpins. Gonna leave it in a second here. Seems to be the better idea. This really rockets out of these hairpins. .972. Oh my god, that's 7,000 of a second behind the hairpin. That's so damn close, but it is in third place. It's honestly beyond me how Tom is at least 15 seconds faster a stage than me, even on a short track like this. I think that not only did I play a lot of racing games in my life, so not just BeamNG, but it's whenever I'm trying to, whenever I'm playing a game, it's like if it's a casual game, like and by that I mean a casual racing game, so an arcade racing game, let's say. Forza Horizon 4, for example. In a game like that, I always try to drift because the cornering speeds are so absurd in Forza Horizon 4. It's just so freaking unrealistic. But I'm always trying to find a car's limit, and to me, rally sport does that more than any other motorsport because you're right at the edge of grip most of the time, right? So you really learn how to control a car. You really learn how to balance a car when it does start to slide. You learn how much throttle is too much throttle, and you learn when can I go on the gas and when can I not, and I learned stuff like that in games like Dirt, and originally I think the very first rally game that I can remember playing was like Colin McRae Rally 2 from the year 2000. And I mean, obviously the driving physics in that game aren't. Oh my god, this car understeers so much off throttle, but obviously in that game the driving physics are nowhere near as refined as they are in more modern games. But what helped me a lot was definitely Dirt 3. I played a lot of that. Played a little bit of Dirt Rally, but didn't like that too much. Forza Horizon 4 is not really my favorite game in terms of driving physics. It's fun, and you can drift the crap out of cars there. And what I really like in Forza Horizon 4 is that on the drifting, especially in rear-wheel drive cars, you can absolutely learn the car's balance, and because rear-wheel drive drifting is kind of slow, you know. Well, let me rephrase that. On all-wheel drive drifting, God, this thing is causing me quite a bit of headache here. But on an all-wheel drive drift car, you have so much acceleration along with the slide that you really, it's very different, and you really have to be careful not to accelerate too much, otherwise you're just missing the turn, going off the track or whatever. But with a rear-wheel drive car, once you find the right entry point, it's such a delicate balance, keeping that slide, holding it, and that teaches you a lot about the balance of a given car, and you can work around that. You can drive a drift car quickly once you've learned how it reacts, you know. Well, not really an actual drift car, but you can learn how to drive a rear-wheel drive car cleanly by testing its limits when you drift it. Is what I'm getting at, because that teaches you the balance of the car better than anything else. You learn to understand the car. And so you can know exactly what it's gonna do. So you know where its limits are. And that's why, and you need to understand that in oh my god. And you need to understand your car in rallying more than you need to understand your car in, I would argue, pretty much any other sport except maybe the endurance racing. Because, I mean, let me rephrase that. I think that, okay, we gotta go again, I'm sorry. I think that rally drivers are driving the car more at the limit than F1 drivers do, for example. Because if a rally car starts to slide, with it being all-wheel drive, of course, you and it being on gravel, snow, whatever, sure, sometimes on tarmac too, but man, this car is just no good. But with a rally car, you go to the point where the car is sliding. You still try to go as fast as possible, and you try to balance the car in a situation that's where you basically lost grip. In Formula 1, obviously, if you give it a little bit too much throttle, you spin off the track and you lose so much time, you're basically out of the race. So you can't even get to that point, which means you need to which means you need to drive somewhere close to the limit, but you can't actually get to the limit, otherwise you risk spinning off the track. And so you can never really know if you're actually at the car's limit when you're driving cleanly. So but with rally driving, it's very different, because you you really start to learn a car's limit, and you gotta work around it and can still be fast if you do lose grip. This car is just not very good here. I wouldn't be surprised if this came last though. Come on, we got a few more checkpoints. This didn't do too poorly on Small Island. So we know what this is set up for. It was definitely set up for off-road rallying. And that's okay. .46.8. So yeah, this is 21 seconds slower than the next slowest car. Next up, the Martin Rally. I don't think this did particularly well on Small Island either. But yeah, the reason why I'm pretty quick in BeamNG is because I learned how to throttle control in several racing games over many years, and throttle control is really super important for knowing when you can feed in the throttle, when you can't, and how much you can put in. You obviously need to learn that for every single car. Because every car is a little bit different, but obviously my racing line isn't gonna be much different from anybody else's, because there is basically one racing line, right? So there is one way of going quickly through a corner, that is by going through the apex, similar to that really. But then, knowing when you can apply throttle and how much you can use and when you can use full throttle, that's what you need to learn as well. Oh, okay. by the way, I'm not even that good. Like, I've never done sim racing, I don't even have a wheel. I'm doing all this with a controller. And Forza Horizon 4 obviously also has these sort of time trials and stuff like that, these leaderboards. It wasn't even close to the best there, so I mean, thank you for for the compliment, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm not even that good. Or maybe I'm better here than in other games, relatively speaking. I don't know, but. Also, what I learned with these older cars that don't have ABS is you can't stomp on the brakes the way you can with ABS. There is one line, and boy do you know it when he missed that sucker. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. You're able to control a lot of different setups without crashing. That is nothing to shake a stick at. Yeah, I mean, thank you. I got a lot of practice, let's put it that way. Like, I've built a ton of cars in automation. Like, old cars, new cars, slow cars, fast cars, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, what have you. Like, I've built pretty much everything there is to build in automation. And ever since BeamNG allows us to export automation cars into it, I've test-driven most of them as well. So I'm used to a lot of different types of cars, and even done some unconventional cars myself as well. But one thing I need to one thing that I want to say is that there are cars that are better tuned than others, obviously, but there are very few cars that are objectively bad, in my opinion. Because you just gotta, like, every car drives a little bit differently, but you can figure out what you need to do with each car to make it work. Every car has a sweet spot, in my opinion. The only ones that don't are the really bad ones. Another front-wheel drive car that grips up very nicely when you apply a little bit of throttle. this feels very grippy again. And that 5-cylinder engine does have a good amount of torque as well, so it goes up the hill very, very nicely. But are we gonna see a sub 3 minute time after all? Because I thought that there were gonna be more than... I thought there were gonna be multiple cars that would break the 3 minute barrier here. So far even the leader is like a 3:01. And aside from the Killer Bee, I think we've seen all of the top spots from the last race, so maybe the Killer Bee can do it, you know? Maybe it can do this in under 3 minutes. For this car to do it, I think we're a little bit late on this checkpoint, so... Three or 3.9, that's... Is that ahead or behind the armor? Just ahead, oh my god. Look at that. Next up, the Miranda Zenith. So with a mid-engine setup, I think this could do rather well here. Yeah, this is a really tightly packed field this time, and I think that's mostly because the amount of horsepower, the amount of weight is relatively similar between these cars, and obviously we're in tarmac now, so the grip is usually there, and so it's really mostly a question of power to weight, except with the HILLCLIMB, which has by far the best, but couldn't quite use all of it. It's still leading though. Brake balance could use some work on this one. I mean, I don't like talking too much about other YouTubers, but most of you, because you're into automation, are probably familiar with the guy called Sean Nasri, and he does community challenges as well. And I remember one time it was sort of like make a lightweight sort of hatchback sort of challenge, and I test drove my car, you know, built it, sent it in, and then obviously we didn't know what track he would be testing on, and so when he did then test drive the cars, it was one at the what was the place called at the industrial site. There was a short track. By the way, where did this finish? There's a 311. Okay, decent. Anyway, he did like a 56.0 second with my car, but then 500 kilogram challenge may have been. No, I don't think it was that. It was an earlier one. It was like a year or so ago at this point. Anyway, he did 56 seconds right on that track, and later I drove my car about that around that same track, and then my first time was like a 52.6. So obviously his driving skill is the same with every car he drives, so it was fair where my car landed in that sense. It's just that when the time discrepancy between the time you get, if you're prepared for like if you know the track in advance and you know you practice on that and you get a certain time, and then you start watching the stream and you see the times of the first cars and you feel like, oh, my car's gonna do well here, and then no, it didn't. So that's a factor you always have to consider, because obviously, and I was actually late on that one. That's a factor you always need to consider, because just because your car is good, if you give the car into somebody else's hands, you know, they gotta make the best of it, right? And I'm trying to do that here with every car. Well, understeer there. This is rear engine, by the way. Okay, see you next time, downforce lover. Frio 2.8. Free Exotic Joe, thank you for following. So this came in with a Frio 2.8. Actually, the LLMC is in elite. What was I saying earlier about the HILLCLIMB? The LLMC is first. Yeah, the Raymond Otter coming in 4th place for the moment. We do have 2 more cars, the Wild Wingo and then the Yellow Jacket Killer Bee. Like really the first 10, well maybe not 10, but like the first 6, 7, 8 cars are really, really close together. And they're all good, you know? I got nothing really negative to report about those cars. There are a few that are far behind, but most of these cars are really, really good here. Yeah, I mean, your car was indeed very, very good. I mean, the handling, even with the diff open, it's just so responsive. And then it also had plenty of power to get out of those slow corners quickly. So yeah, that's always a good advantage. If the person who plays the piano is a pianist, why isn't the guy that races called a racist? I don't think that's how it works. This car actually here feels pretty solid. A little bit of power oversteer, but engine feels strong. I think this is gonna be yet another car that's gonna come somewhere in the first like 6, 7, 8 cars. Doesn't quite strike me as a potential winner. Actually, it's a little bit behind most cars at that last checkpoint. So yeah, it's not gonna rank amongst the best ones. It is, in fact, yeah, down here. Tenth place. Okay, it's a little bit slower than I thought it was gonna be. But now the yellow jacket. Last but definitely not least. Like, considering that I came into a small island thinking this was sort of a joke car, it absolutely it really like destroyed everything. Probably gonna get blown. Let's see. We'll see. It is also on semi-slicks though. So it's a joke car, but the joke's on us, yeah. That's another way of putting it. This car is when the joke laughs about you. The way this corners around these hairpins though is really good. Didn't need those anyway. Whatever that was. Weight saving. Weight reduction, I suppose. I think this is really going well yet again. A little bit wide there, but we're powering through. Even though this has a pretty long gearing, it's not a hindrance for this car because the engine is quite torquey. And here it's just flying up those straights between the hairpins. And this is going to be the first car under 3 minutes, and quite significantly so. 2:54.3, 6 seconds quicker than second place. I was not expecting that. Holy Jesus. Well. Well done. I mean, that's all I can say. I'm quickly gonna put these results into the spreadsheet. So the Killer Bee won yet again, getting another 12 points here. Second place this time is the LLMC, and this will get 11 points. Third place we have the Halpin Scorpion, which is right here. Fourth place, really close by, is the Lucara. Like 7,000 of a second. That's within, you know, error margin. You know, it's really, it's so close. It should basically be tied, but I can't do that. Like so then, fifth place the Raymond Otter, doing well this time. Wow, the Raymond Otter actually came last in the previous race. Dead last. Now it's fifth. Very good. Then the Myanmar Plaza SS is in sixth place. The Armor, unfortunately, only in seventh, even though it had a really good start. It was basically the best car for a while, but then it did eventually get beaten by quite a few other cars. Then we have the Fjord Corona. Eighth place. Getting 5 points. Then we have the Miranda. Ninth place. Where is it? 4 points. Then we have the BAC. There it is. 10th place, 3 points. Then we have the Wild Wingo. 11th place, 2 points. Then the ACLK, disappointingly only in 12th place here. I really thought this was going to do better, but it's only going to get 1 point here. Then we have the Falcon, 13th place, 0 points. We have the CDR Cooper, 14th place, no points. And we have the Martin Rally, 15th out of 16, 0 points. And then last place was the M2 Rush, again 0 points. Do you hear that? That's the sound of the BAC design team being sacked. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna, just for fun, drive the De Tomaso Pantera up here. In theory, this should actually be reasonably good here, because it's got a 350 horsepower V8 and it's mid-engined. But you also have to consider it's, you know, 1250 kilograms or so, so it's considerably heavier than the cars that are competing here. So I don't think it's actually gonna get close to first place, but it should beat some cars here, definitely. Alright, so be honest, guys. Out of everyone who's still watching now that the race is effectively over, out of the guys who are still here, who of you expected the Killer Bee to actually win here on this track? Yeah, I thought it was gonna be up there as well, because it won the first stage after all. So oh my god. Okay, so the extra weight definitely shows. Compared to the competing cars, dude, this car really shows that weight spoils everything, especially the handling. But I mean, don't get me wrong, this is not a bad handling car, but you just feel the extra inertia from the weight. A bit of hesitance on the turning in compared to these other super light cars. A bit of a push through the mid corner because of the momentum that you've already got going and stuff like that. So you can feel the weight in that sense. But once you do get out of a corner, you feel the extra power and especially the extra torque from this 5.8 liter V8. Like, look at this. Easy. Three or 4.3, not bad. Because it was so much faster than everything last race. It was 2 seconds, I think, last time. 2 seconds ahead of the Halpin, the Killer Bee. I did not realize there were new tracks for these races, so the car is tuned for the tracks on the last 2 seasons. Okay. So that I don't want to say like I did mention what tracks were gonna be driven on in the rules video, and it was in the description of that video as well. So but still I get your point, and just for the record, there will be different tracks still next season, except one is going to be the same as this one, and that's going to be Pikes Peak at the end. But yeah, so very nice race. Honestly, I'm not really surprised that the Killer Bee won, but I'm surprised by how much, like how large the gap is. That's crazy. 6 seconds when like second through, what is it, 7th place is within 3 seconds, and this is 6 seconds ahead of everything that came before it, or that comes after it. That's impressive. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I did. So I hope to see you again next or tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow is going to be the third and last race of the season, and that'll be on Pikes Peak Gravel Short. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Until then, have a good one. See you next time. Bye bye.